We're at the Final Four stage here at Roland Garros, and we have the three Clay Masters champions and the world number one battling it out for the final two spots. I'll break down both matches and give my ultimate prediction of who I think will be our finalists here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. First, looking at Zverev and Tsitsipas, Steph leads the head-to-head 5-1 and is ranked one spot ahead of the German. Also, he touts the better clay record this season with 21-3, winning 2 titles in Monte Carlo and Lyon. Meanwhile, Zverev is 13-3 on the dirt with his Madrid title. Sasha has the advantage in playing a little bit less than Stefanos, plus he won their most recent match in Acapulco not too long ago. Zverev played his first match here against compatriot Oscar Otte, and the qualifier actually took the first 2 sets off the 6th seed before Alex came roaring back, winning the final 3 sets 2-2 and love. In the second round, he beat another qualifier, Roman Soflin, 7-6, 6-3, 7-6, before taking out Laszlo Djere 6-2, 7-5, 6-2. In the fourth round, he dominated Kei Nishikori 6-4, 6-1, 6-1, and in the quarters, he took out Alejandro Davidovich Fokina with the same scoreline. I feel that Zverev's first round match against Otte was really the catalyst to his successful run here thus far. Watching this match, I feel like Alex was a bit too passive early on, as the big serving German took control of much of the rallies. Being his weaker side, Zverev has a tendency to not completely hit through the forehand and instead just hit it to make it. However, as he said himself after that match, in the third set I decided to hit the ball a little harder, hit the forehand a little heavier as well, and managed to turn it around. He's kept this more proactive approach throughout this tournament, combining it also with the aspect of patience. This can be attributed to his very solid winner to unforced error ratio as well, not having a match where the differential is over -5. Alongside the backhand, Zverev's serve is a huge weapon for him, especially when the double faults are in check. However, it has been a bit inconsistent at times this fortnight, as you have some periods where he goes for it more and sacrifices a high first serve percentage for greater first serve points won, and vice versa. However, something that's been much more of a reliable factor is Alex's return, which has also freed him up on serve. In his previous 2 rounds, Zverev has won an average of 58% of receiving points, justifying those dominant scorelines. Against Tsitsipas, the return would need to be on par too, as does the aggressive type of play. Stefanos opened against freshman Jeremy Chardy, winning 7-6, 6-3, 6-1, and then defeated Pedro Martinez 3-4, 3. John Isner was responsible for grabbing Steph's lone set drop this event, but the Greek man outlasted the American in 4 sets. In the round of 16, Tsitsipas defeated Pablo Carreño Busta 6-3, 6-2, 7-5, before taking out second seed Medvedev 6-3, 7-6, 7-5. Unlike Zverev, there was not really a noticeable change in the level of play for Stefanos, as he sustained a very high level of play throughout his 5 matches. The set drop to Isner was more about Tsitsipas needing additional time to adjust to the Isner serve, and once he did, he ran away with it. Stefanos has looked to come in a lot more this event, pouncing on nearly every opportunity when he has his opponent outstretched. This is surely something he should incorporate against Zverev, as the German often adopts deep court positioning. Tsitsipas has also had an incredible winner to unforced error ratio this event, posting positive differentials each time, often hitting like 40 winners to just 20 unforced. That just goes to show you how well Tsitsipas is playing. I think that Stefanos is playing better than Alex, which is why I'll have him advance to the finals. I also believe he's more prepared for this matchup, as he had Medvedev in the previous round, who despite clay not being his best surface, is an extremely tough opponent nonetheless. Zverev meanwhile has faced more favorable opposition. Now that's not to say that Fokina, for example, isn't a challenging player, but the Spaniard had just played 2 consecutive 5-set matches and was clearly a bit gassed towards the tail end of the match. Also, Fokina nor Nishikori really had a huge punishing weapon at the time to make Zverev uncomfortable, but Stefanos I think does. This would be interesting because Stefanos has been serving better this tournament than Alex, meanwhile Zverev has been the superior returner. However, as I keep mentioning, Zverev hasn't yet faced an opponent of Stefanos' caliber and serve potential, which is why I believe this could be a tough adjustment for him. I think that Alex needs to be more aggressive from the beginning rather than allow Stefanos to dictate, because looking back at their Acapulco final, the Greekman was in control of the exchanges and even utilized the drop shot extremely well because of Zverev's deep court positioning. However, once Alexander stepped up closer to the baseline and started picking his corners more, he stormed back and claimed the victory. I do believe though that Stefanos will be more equipped to handle such a change in gameplay, and I have him winning this match in 4 sets. The The second semifinals of the all-time greats, Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. Djokovic leads the head-to-head 29-28, but Nadal has the advantage in Paris, particularly winning 7 of their 8 matches here. Rafa has spent a bit less time on court than the Joker, and of course won their previous match in the Rome finals a few weeks ago. Novak won his first 3 matches fairly easily, beating Tennis Sandgren 6-2, 6-4, 6-4, Pablo Cuevas 6-3, 6-2, 6-4, then Ricardas Berankis 6-1, 6-4, 6-1. However, he had to recover from 2 sets to love down against 19-year-old Lorenzo Musetti, winning 6-7, 6-7, 6-1, 6-love, 4-love. Lastly, he beat the top-ranked Italian Matteo Berrettini 6-3, 6-2, 6-7, 7-5. Djokovic, for the most part, has had a very solid tournament with few noticeable dips in play. However, the first 2 sets against Musetti were likely his worst ones in this event, as he was far too passive and struggled a lot with his depth, which allowed Lorenzo to dictate a lot. As I mentioned in my previous video, once Nole improved his first serve percentage and overall depth, he ran away with the match, so he must be cognizant that both parts of his game are there. While on the topic of the serve, Djokovic has been relatively clutch with it thus far, despite the Musetti drop, not allowing Matteo any breaks in their quarterfinal match. Novak even said himself, "I was pleased with the way I served when I served. I don't think I lost my serve today once," which is great playing against someone like Matteo, who is a really quality tennis player. The serve will surely need to be on against Rafa, who's a better returner than Matteo, and Nadal would definitely get more looks at breaking than the Italian did. Rafael started his title defense against Alexei Popyrin, winning 6-3, 6-2, 7-6. In his next 3 rounds, he upped the ante, taking out Richard Gasquet, Cam Norrie, and Yannick Sinner without dropping more than 9 games in each match. Then lastly, in the quarters, he staged a mini comeback over Diego Schwartzman, winning 6-3, 4-6, 6-4, 6-love. Rafa has also been extremely solid this fortnight, but like Djokovic, he had a lapse too, albeit it was less noticeable and in the first round against Alexei Popyrin. There, Rafa struggled a lot in getting his first serve in, plus he surrendered a bit of his aggressive court positioning on the baseline. This allowed Popyrin a lot more looks. Nadal has done a much better job of really using the court to his advantage and making his opponents respond to what he's doing on the court. Sinner and Schwartzman did the best at disturbing this type of dominance, especially Schwartzman, who in the second and third sets especially took the ball much earlier and looked to move forward whenever possible. Now, I'm not going to get into the matchup aspect of things in the interest of saving time, because I've gone more in depth about it in my Roland Garros final preview from 2020. Also, the dynamics changed match by match, as in the 2019 Rome final, Nadal's returning was crucial for him, while it was the serve for the serve. Meanwhile, in this year's Rome final, it was the exact opposite, as Nadal, in my opinion, dominated on serve, while Djokovic excelled more on the return aspect of things. I think that the tide will once again shift here, because this tournament, Djokovic has been a bit of a better server, keeping a high first serve percentage, alongside the good first and second serve points won. Meanwhile, Nadal has been a little bit shakier on his serve in comparison, having periods of him struggling, especially on his second serve. As always though, this will be a battle of court positioning and who can be more of the aggressor. In Rome, Novak actually played one of his more aggressive clay matches against Nadal, which proved to be successful. I think he did this to conserve energy though, because if you remember, he had that long day of tennis prior playing Tsitsipas and Sonego. I think that Nole should adopt this similar game style, because as we saw with Schwartzman, it's very effective. However, I am worried about him foregoing this style of play, because technically he doesn't really need to, because he has more in the tank this match and can rely more on his movement and defensive skills. As I keep saying though, I don't think this would be the way to go for Novak, as he needs to be more proactive here. This would be an extremely difficult physical but even more mental task to beat Nadal at this stage, especially because he's playing at this high level. I do believe that Novak, having all the skills and the solid serve, will at least take a set off of Nadal, but I still pick the Spaniard to win in 4, as I feel that once again he's riding into form ahead of the final few days of play in Paris. That's all for my men's semifinal previews, and let me know whether you agree or disagree about Tsitsipas and Nadal being my finalists in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.